Hey friends, welcome back to Jessie Kate Creates. It's Jessica here, and in this video I'm working on an alcohol ink background piece, and I figured this would be a fun video for us to just kind of chat while you watch me work. So I'll start by going over the supplies I'm using. And then we'll get into chatting. So to start off, I am working on a piece of Jot poster board. You can pick this up from the Dollar Tree. I think it's a 6-pack for $1.25. So it is a great affordable alternative to synthetic papers like Yupo or Duralar that are a lot more expensive, especially if you're a beginner like me and you're just kind of playing around and try to figure out how alcohol inks work. So for the inks that I'm using, I have a variety of different inks. As long as it's alcohol based, it's probably going to work. So I have the Brea Reese alcohol inks. Before all of the Tuesday mornings in my area closed down, they used to always have Brea Reese. So I've picked up a couple different colors there. Tuesday Morning also used to always have a brand called Art C. I've never heard of them, before, but their inks work just fine. So I have some of those. And then I also have some of the Ranger alcohol inks. Seriously, anything alcohol based works. So you could use the ink from Sharpie markers. You could use refills for your Copics. Any alcohol ink will work here. When I was making this project, I was really feeling greens and blues. So those were the colors that I pulled out. Now, in addition to the colored alcohol inks, I also have some Ranger blending solution and some 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. That's what's in that little clear bottle with the orange cap in the right-hand corner of the screen. Oh, and the other thing I will say, if you're gonna work with alcohol inks, please make sure you're working in a well-ventilated space. It can get very fumy very fast. So I had my door open when I was making this project. I also had the window in my craft room open. So make sure you're staying safe when you're crafting, guys. Oh, and then in case you're curious, I usually work on a glass mat if you've watched my other videos, but for alcohol inks, I like to put down this is just like a cut up grocery bag. It just sops up some of the excess ink and it makes cleanup a lot easier. So that's what's under my paper. And then you can see I'm just using a little blower here to help move the ink around. I know some people like to use, hair dryers, so you could give that a try too. I just have a puffer on hand, so that's what I'm using here. And lastly, you'll notice I'm wearing gloves. If you don't like messy techniques, I would recommend wearing gloves. I had just got my nails done, so I decided to put on gloves, but I've also played with alcohol inks with my bare hands. So, just do you and what works best for you. Oh, and lastly, I forgot to mention this. I also have the Ranger metallic alloys. I have gold here. And I don't really know how to use these, so you'll notice I'm just kind of experimenting and playing around. Which brings me to the first thing that I wanted to chat about with you guys. But really quick, I also want to mention, you only see me making one piece here, but on this weekend, I actually ended up making 6 pieces. So at the end of the video, I will share the 6 different alcohol ink backgrounds I made this weekend. If you don't want to watch the full video, I will have timestamps listed in the video description if you just want to skip to the parts that you would like to see. Okay, so now we can get into chatting. So one thing that has been on my mind a lot lately is the importance of play in crafting. So I don't know if any of you guys experience this, but a lot of craft videos, like when you watch tutorials and whatnot, you see someone like sit down and complete a full project start to finish in usually one video, right? And I think that can, especially when it comes to card making, right? Because like a lot of cards you can sit down and create in like maybe an hour. And so sometimes it puts this like pressure on us, or especially on me, that like every time I craft, I should like sit down, start a project, and finish that. And I definitely do that with some of my cards. If I have an idea in mind or I've sketched out a card and I want to, give that sketch a go, or I'm trying out a new sketch, then yeah, sometimes I will sit down and make a project from start to finish. I definitely do that. But sometimes, like, I just have a supply I really want to play with. Maybe I got a new stamp set and I'm just itching to use it, or a die set I want to play with, or I want to try an ink blending technique, or in this case, I just wanted to play with my alcohol inks. I had not used them in a while. They were calling to me, so I just wanted to bust them out. When I'm working on this piece, I did not have an end result in mind. I just, alcohol inks are toys in my craft room, and I just wanted to play with them. So that's what I was doing here. And I think playing with your supplies is really important for a few different reasons. One, it allows you to experiment, right? Like you can just try different things. And I think it's because when you're playing with supplies, I feel like my creativity is a little bit more limitless because I don't have the pressure to create a piece that I'm going to use in a final project, right? Like it's more just so about experimenting and trying different things. So I am willing to do things differently or take bigger creative risks than I might otherwise because there's no pressure for me to end up with a finished piece at the end of it, right? It's just about experimenting, which is huge for me because the more room I allow myself to be creative, usually the more I like the end results. That's not always true. Some things work out really well, some things are duds. That happens to all of us. But when I'm not putting limits on my creativity, I push the envelope more and I come up with more interesting and to me, kind of more fun and unique pieces. So I think that's a really important part of playing. I think the other thing about it is it's a great way to learn a technique or to get to know your supplies is just by sitting down and playing with them. One thing that you might notice when I show the final pieces at the end of this video, I honestly didn't really know what I'm doing. I'd say relatively speaking, I'm pretty new to alcohol inks. I have used them before, but I don't use them a ton. So this for me was also just about learning and trying things out, learning how my inks move and learning how the alloys move. And with every background, I felt like things got a little bit better because I was getting a better understanding of, how to use the alloys and how to move the inks. In this piece, I kind of am like working from the middle of the paper outward. And with a lot of the other backgrounds I made this weekend, I kind of broke it up into smaller sections and kind of went section by section. And I liked the results I got that way a lot more, but I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't taken the time to just sit down and play with my supplies and just take time to get to know them. Also, it's just really fun. Like I said, to me, alcohol inks are just another toy in my craft room, and it was just, nice to sit down and have fun and play with them for the sake of playing and having fun with them. I'm curious if any of that, like if you guys feel that way about playing with your craft supplies, if you think it, puts less pressure on you or if it allows you to be more creative. I would really love to hear your thoughts on this. So please let me know in the comments kind of where you fall on that and, if you have just like playtime in your craft room too. So that was the first thing I wanted to chat about. The other thing I want to chat about is I've been kind of away from YouTube for a while. And so I guess like what happened? Why was I gone for so long? Well, it kind of started in, I want to say like the end of June. I think up until that point, I'd been like posting videos kind of consistently, like 1 or 2 videos a week. I'd kind of gotten into a flow of things. But around that time, like life just got really busy for me and not in a bad way, just busy. I had a lot of things going on. My husband and I went on vacation at the end of June, so we were getting ready for that. And that for me for work is a busy season just because where I work, our fiscal year ends at the end of June. So June and July are always just really heavy months for me. I have a lot of work that has to get done. I do a lot of data entry, so they're just really busy times of the year for me. So I was just trying to get things kind of buttoned up before I went on vacation so that it wouldn't be as crazy when I came back. And I had some footage filmed and I was going to turn it into a tutorial, but the way life worked out, like I just didn't have time before we went on vacation to finish that tutorial. And I had decided that like vacation for me would truly be a vacation. Like I didn't want to have to do anything other than just like enjoying time with family. We went on vacation with my husband's family. So I just wanted to be able to like enjoy everyone's company, enjoy everyone's time, be fully present. And I didn't want to have to think about, feel pressure to edit a video. So I gave myself the grace to be like, you know what, there just aren't going to be videos on my channel for a minute, but that kind of ended up going a little longer than planned. So we were out of town for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, got back into town. My husband's dad was in the area. He wasn't on vacation with us. So my husband's dad was in town for a couple days. So we hung out with him. Work was really busy because I'd been gone for 2 weeks and it was the busy time. And then I went on an impromptu vacation to New York City to visit my sister, which was a ton of fun. I had such a good time. But again, it just meant that I didn't have time to work on filming or editing videos and putting something together to post onto YouTube. And then when I got back in town, like 2 days later, I got sick for 2 weeks with the flu. So it was just a really busy time. And by the end of it, I was kind of like, I don't know. I also was kind of just like in a creative slump where like there was nothing I was doing that was like calling to me. I kind of lost my mojo. I was struggling a little bit to get it back. So I don't know if this was the smartest thing to do, but I was like, let me sign up for some craft shows because that will encouraged me to make cards because I will need cards to sell at these craft shows, which it did work. It did kind of like get me back into like card making mode. But again, it just meant that I was really busy trying to prepare for some craft shows. So I think that pretty much takes us up to where we are now. And so, what the plan is for my channel, at least for right now, I think I will mostly be putting out project share videos. And I know I've said this before after breaks, like it's going to change to project share videos. But I think this time that's really going to have to be what happens just because life is just busy. Like, sometimes you just have some seasons where you just feel like you're go, go, go. That's where I am right now, just busy with a lot of different things. And I think my aversion, I like project shares, okay? Like I watch a lot of project shares on YouTube, but when I make a project share, like in the back of my head, I'm always thinking like, what if someone wants to know how to do this technique? Or what if they want a better sense of like how to do this to create this portion of the card or something like that. And so I think it just puts this pressure on me that all my videos need to be tutorials, but realistically, that's just not going to happen. I have a ton of projects that I've made that I'm really proud of and that I would love to share with you guys because I think a lot of you would really enjoy them too. But I haven't posted them because I haven't had the time to either edit the footage I have of it into a tutorial or I just didn't film it. Because sometimes, like, if I know I'm, filming when I'm crafting, it can give me a little bit of anxiety. And sometimes that makes me not want to film. Or sometimes I'm just working late at night. The lighting in my craft room is not good. And so the footage just ends up being really not so great. So, with all of that being said, I think I'm just gonna, get heavy into sharing project shares on my channel. That way I get to share my projects with you guys. And maybe if there's like a particular project that everyone like really loves or people have a lot of questions about, like maybe I'll make tutorials on those. I don't know exactly. And probably as we go, it will change a little bit, but right now, those are kind of like my thoughts and my plans for what is going to be happening with my channel, especially because we're getting into the fall and winter season, and I have signed up for a lot of craft fairs, you guys. Well, at least for me, it's a lot. I know for some people it's probably not that much, but to me, it seems like I've signed up for quite a few craft shows, which is good because it will definitely push me to, make a lot of different projects. And hopefully that means I'll have a lot of stuff to share with you guys, but it also just means that I will be busy and I might not have time to film tutorials on everything that I make. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been and what has been happening with my channel. So with all of that being said, I think at this point I am just going to, I will mention what I'm doing right here on my card. So one of the things I said earlier is that I really like playing with craft supplies just for the sake of play because it's good like learning experience. And with this project, I was really struggling with the gold alloy and understanding like how to use it and how to make it move. And of course, there are like YouTube tutorials that I could watch where people explain that. And while those are really helpful, for me, at the end of the day, like one of the best ways for me to learn something is like hands on, just like try different things and just do it. So at this point, I could not get this gold to kind of move the way I wanted it to in my head. So I was just using a paintbrush to kind of place the gold in positions where I wanted this. And one thing that was really cool, I think I told you, I made 6 different backgrounds. I made this one, went out, ran errands with my husband, came home, and wanted to play with more alcohol ink. So over the course of the weekend, I made 6 backgrounds. And with each background, like I kind of felt like I was getting a better sense of like how to use the alloys and how to use the rubbing alcohol versus how to use the Ranger blending solution. And I think that's just like time and practice and playing. So that was pretty cool. Like it's always really neat when you can see or at least experience in yourself a little bit of like progress in like such a short period of time. Now, I still have a ton to learn. Like I said, I'm definitely a beginner, but it was just really fun to like experiment and play and get a better sense of how to use these supplies. Okay, so at this point, I think I am just going to turn on some music and let you guys, watch me finish making this background. And then I will come back at the end to show the final piece and the other 5 pieces that I made. So enjoy the music, and I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. So just for this last little bit, in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, this is a foil transfer sheet. I believe this is from 3M, though I think a lot of different companies make them. And like I said earlier in the video, I was just struggling to get the gold how I wanted it. So what I'm doing here, any sticky spots on this panel where the ink hasn't fully dried yet, they will pull up this foil, and I thought that was a good way just to add a little bit of extra gold to my project. So now I want to show you guys all of the panels that I made. I made 6 different ones. You'll notice they're really glossy. That's because I treated them with this Kmart varnish. One, it makes the colors more vibrant, and two, it just keeps any ink from like rubbing off onto your fingers or cardstock or anything like that. So I like treating my alcohol pieces with that when I finish them. So this is the one you've seen. This is the green one I was working on during the video. And like I said, after this, I kept playing and I made 5 more panels. This one was yellows and greens. I kind of struggled with the yellows. And so I tried to add a lot of gold to camouflage some of that. I will say this piece, I think, looks a lot better in person than it is picking up on camera. But with each piece, it was, I was experimenting and playing and learning. With this next piece, it was yellows and oranges. I really like how this one came out, especially in the orange section of the panel. But again, just a fun learning experience. Now the next panel I made is where I really started to get into the flow of and like understand a little bit better how to move the alloys around a little bit better. And also this, I think this red panel is just absolutely beautiful. And then we're going to move on to my absolute favorite panel that I made, and that is this purple and pink one. In person, it reads a lot more purple than it does pink, but I loved how the veining came out in this one, and I loved the bright purples and pinks, and I'm usually not a purple girl, but I just loved that one. And then this was the last one I made. It's this one with lots of different shades of blue. So this was a really fun, I don't know, it was really fun to make all of these different background, and I definitely learned a lot from doing it. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with the 6 different panels that I have now. I'm thinking about maybe turning them into a card set, or maybe we'll use them for holiday cards. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'd be curious to know which of these 6 is your favorite. Like I said, I love the purple and pink, but I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Or if you have ideas on how to use these panels, let me know that down there too. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you catch all of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.